This is the Pain Train Preston Quinn, one half of the Extreme Horsemen. And when I want to hear music and entertainment, I come right here. You're listening to On The Flythe with Stevie and Worden.
You are listening to On The Flythe.
What's up, guys? On The Flythe, back again. And today, you wonder where my regular co-host Worden is. Well, we gave him a little vacation today. No, seriously, Worden had to work. The interview was, the Mr. Blakout's got a little time difference, 5 hours ahead, and we had to have a replacement. So I picked one half of the Extreme Horsemen, the Pain Train Preston Quinn, straight out of Virginia. He's with us today to help with the interview. With us today is our very, very special guest, a legendary band, legendary UK band, legendary band of the 80s, the TigerTailz. And our guest today is drummer Mr Blakout. Welcome to the show, sir.
Very kind of you to have me on. Great to see you guys. I'm looking forward to all your questions and having a good chat about the legendary British glam rock band TigerTailz that I've been a proud part of pretty much as long as anybody else. So I've been a member of the band as long as probably J Pepper, the original member. So yeah, bring it on.
All right. So Preston, you want to take it?
Come on, Preston.
Well, I wanted to start by showing my I've got my TigerTailz on.
Yeah, awesome.
And you can see behind him, he's got his vinyl collection behind him.
Yes, I've got Knives, Berserk, Young and Crazy, and Wazbones. Unfortunately, that's the only ones I have on vinyl so far. I'm trying to get the others, but I've got the others on CD. But I wanted to start with you started with the band after you came from City Kids. That you were drumming for City Kids. I know there's a delay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. You started with TigerTailz in 2005?
A little bit later. Okay.
And what was that? What was that for you? Were you still playing for City Kids when they contacted you?
No. So I can't even remember when City Kids sort of ended, really. I think it was about 95, 96. So they moved on, they changed their name, they tried to move with the music at the time because the grunge thing was quite heavy, Nirvana and Pearl Jam, those kind of bands. So they tried to move with that, which is absolutely fine and their choice. But I was gone from them before then. They kind of City Kids was a band that tried to reinvent itself and stay with the times. Mikey Evans was the leader of that band, really, from nearly start to finish. But he wasn't the original singer, but he was certainly he became the band. Mikey runs, of course, I don't know if you've heard of it, the UK Steelhouse Festival in Wales, the highest festival in the UK, on top of the mountain there. So he runs that with another guy, Max, who's also musical past I share. So I think it was about 95, 96 that sort of came to an end for me.
Okay.
I went through a few the music scene had changed so much then that my involvement with it sort of diminished. My personal life sort of changed. I moved. I lived with Mikey then, and I moved away. And then I came onto the radar. Well, at that time when City Kids were together, we were very close to TigerTailz. We played football with them on a Sunday. J Pepper was a massive football fan. I don't know if you know that. Pepsi used to play, but not a big football fan. but he would play, and we would make up a team together, and we would play each other and sometimes other teams. I'm not a big football fan. It's soccer in the UK, of course.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the type that you guys play over there, which is probably much better than ours. But yeah, so we became quite close, and even with Kim Hooker, we became, the three of us, Kim, myself, and Mikey, became quite close friends for quite a year or so. We knocked about together while TigerTailz was then Wazbones, of course. They'd moved along out of the TigerTailz name into Wazbones, and then they you guys probably know this better than I do, really. Obviously the Wazbone album came out, the band changed again, moving along with the times. So my involvement, to answer your question there, Preston, I bumped into Kim Hooker at a festival in the UK, and I hadn't seen him for some time. Obviously, a good few years, and the band had reformed. Then they got back together. They had a drummer, and I mentioned in our conversations, we bumped into each other over the weekend because we were there. I said, look, if you need someone, I'll be happy to step in. And I'd just come back from LA not so long before then, so I'd sort of done some bits and jammed with the likes of Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses, CC DeVille, some guys who hung out in LA at the time. So I was keen to get sort of back into things, really. So I bumped into him. He gave me his number. I gave him my number. I rung him. Then the follow-up a couple of months later about something else, I think, and just to have a conversation with him. And then I found out that he had... anyway, he changed his phone or something. But then I had contact with Jay Pepper and told Jay that I'd be interested. And then Jay was the one who instigated me coming into the band then. So that's the edited version of how I came into the band. I didn't audition. I was just asked to come down and play and meet everyone and reconnect. And of course, it was the original lineup bar myself. So that's how I came to be in the band, and I think it was 2006, late 2006, because it was very cold. I remember when I auditioned, so I would say it was probably November, December time.
Okay.
As a drummer, what was it that made you want to take up drumming? Who are your influences? I mean, what made you want to pick up the sticks?
Well, it's such an open question. I'll try and keep it short. I don't know what time we have, but. So we're in the late 70s, 77, 78, there was a movement in the UK very similar to your drum corps kind of thing, which was jazz bands. Every town had 2 or 3 marching bands.
Right.
And the only instrument they had, the ladies had kazoos. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they had a drum corps in the back. So I joined the drum corps, and I was about 10 years old then. The drums were so big, it used to make my legs ache. And I used to marching with this drum, and I used to come on with big bruises on my legs. And so that was with my sister, would you believe? She was a majorette, I guess you call it.
Right.
And so she led, and I was in the back doing the drums. And then I did that for many years until I kind of became a bit older and didn't want to really do that because it was a bit uncool. But then I had a bit of a health scare when I was a kid, and my parents said to me, you will buy you something. What do you want? So I was in hospital for quite some time. So I said I want a set of drums. So they bought me a set of drums, £50 back then, an old Broadway kit, and it was 19, I think it was in 82, because Iron Maiden had just released Run to the Hills. Oh, yeah. And I went to see this drum kit, and this guy was trying to play Run to the Hills. Bearing in mind, I've never played a drum kit in my life. And I got on it, and I said, I think it goes like this. And I played it. And he was like, wow, I've been trying to do that. And I never played a proper drum or full drum kit ever until that moment. And I got it. So I bought the drum kit, and then the rest is history. Played ever since. Annoyed so many neighbors, lost so many friends. No, it's okay. It's all good. So yeah, I love drumming. It's a great passion in my life, and I couldn't be a musician, so I became a drummer.
I got you.
when you first became an official drummer of TigerTailz, were you playing the big festivals at that time with Whitesnake and Twisted Sister?
Yeah, we did. It was a funny thing in 2007, I think it was, that we did those big festivals. We sort of came back and we were offered those things at the same time that Twisted Sister and House of Lords and a few other bands. It was their first shows in Europe outside of America. I remember speaking to Mark Mendoza from Twisted Sister and saying to him about it. And it was one of their first shows that they did, not just out in America ever, when they reformed.
Right.
And I said to him about the money situation. I said, so what you guys must have been okay. Why is it a financial thing or? And he said that they were in control of everything, so that every penny they made went back into the band. And whereas before, I think they came out of their successful period with not a lot. I mean, if you read Dee Snider's book, it pretty much tells you they came out with nothing. They had nothing.
Yeah.
But they have obviously, because they were completely in control of everything on the reformation, they control all the money. So they did it right the second time, of course. And House of Lords, it was one of their first shows when we played with them, and then we went on to do a European tour with them after that gig, after that festival. So yeah, it was a case of a lot of those bands were sort of coming together. We did so many big festivals. We did Sweden Rock with I think it was the headline was Deep Purple, I think, at the time. Wasp were one of the headline bands because they were massive in Europe. Wasp.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bands on those bills. We did Gods of Metal in Italy with Motley Crue, Scorpions, Thin Lizzy, Velvet Revolver. So we watched all of those bands side stage. Just fantastic experience for us and amazing times. Yeah, if I died tomorrow, career wise, that would be the pinnacle of what you could achieve or anyone could achieve within music. And of course, we did those things that TigerTailz never had the option or never were invited to do back in the day in the late 80s, 90s. They never had those opportunities for whatever reason. I don't know. They did a promo in America for the Concrete Foundation in Los Angeles. I think they did it. And of course, they recorded the original Wasbones in Los Angeles, but they never had an opportunity to go out there and play. And they did actually. It was being lined up at the time, East to West tour in the USA when the Wasbones album was being completed. But of course, the label went through and all got canned. So yeah, fantastic times of doing those festivals, and we the Three Amigos, and of course the last big festival or even show we did with Pepsi was Gods of Metal in Italy. So he had a great one to finish on for sure.
Yeah.
What would you talk a bit about Pepsi? What was it like playing with Pepsi? I mean, what kind of guy was he?
Yeah, I mean, he was a real character. He was just huge. He was in physical form, and whenever you were in front of him, he was his outlook on life was just amazing. He was just. I was lucky enough to be with him when he was well. We did Sweden Rock, and he was big old boy. I mean, the boy is his nickname within the band, and they called him the big old boy because he was a big old boy. Of course, his father was Ray Smith, who's a famous TV actor in the UK, and he was a big chap as well. But yeah, Pepsi was a force of nature, a real creative guy, very super intelligent guy, very much understood the TigerTailz brand and what the brand should represent and what the band stood for, that we've hopefully carried on to this day. And we're doing the right thing by his name. So yeah, it's just fantastic, really. It's such a huge loss. I cried. I've never really cried when you lose people and people die. I'm very pragmatic about that. But the boy Pepsi at his age, the time he went, and just when we were beginning on the journey again, he sadly we lost him. But yeah, just incredible. All those things you hear about him are true.
Right.
Now, both of us involved in entertainment. Do you find it easier? I know for me, I find it easier to perform in front of larger crowds than smaller ones. Is that the case for you also?
I think bigger crowds and big festivals. People always say, you know, what is that like? But you know, when you're on a roller coaster and you're going up, it's pulling you right up, and then you flatten out, and then you're just about to, you know what's going to come. You're just about to fall, however many feet at very high speed. Well, big festivals are like that fall, but for the duration of the gig. You know, it doesn't last 10 seconds. It lasts for 45 an hour. So it's that is what it's like. So those big festivals are like that. But the smaller gigs, yeah, sure. You know, I mean, you try not to play so many smaller gigs. You know, I mean, obviously, don't let anyone mislead you. They would rather be playing in front of 70,000 people than 70.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, people say, "Oh, yeah, but you can see the whites in their eyes. It's very intimate." It's like, I love that. That's just absolute nonsense.
Yep.
You know, don't let anyone kid you on that one. But smaller, yeah, I mean, club gigs are great fun in that you can take the opportunity to actually meet people afterwards, and it's a bit more of a community spirit, because especially in the UK, you do tend to see faces you recognize and people you know, and especially with Facebook these days. The community of people that interact with you just get to know them. You can't help that. So club venues to give you the opportunity to do that, whereas festivals don't. You know, so you know, there's pros and cons, but for performance wise, 70,000 over 70 definitely every day.
Yep.
How you talked about playing in front of small crowds? And I mean, I know it affected everybody. How bad did COVID affect you guys? I mean, did that kind of sidetrack what you guys are doing, getting ready to do now? How bad did that affect you guys?
Well, it wiped it out really. There was no, in the UK. There were no clubs to play in. It was everything. You know, the UK was closed. But since then, since the club thing has opened up, tours seem to be doing really well. Mm-hmm. Bands seem to be coming back. People who probably, I think it's reinvigorated things. Just like you know, the grunge thing sort of killed off and gave it all a clean sweep. I think COVID has done that to a degree, and I think people are keen and they want to get back out there and perform. You know. And also crowds, I think, want to get back out there and see and do and live their lives, really, because the 2 years people did very little and were cooped up and, you know, listened to the news and were very depressed, you know. Not that the news is great now, but it's, I think people...
It's never good.
People just want to get out there and have some fun, you know. And I think TigerTailz we fly that banner, we fly that flag of, you know, let it out, you know, get yourself... Get your best clothes on, or your clothes you feel the best in, and just get out there and have some fun. You know, don't get me wrong, audiences seem to be getting older. We're all getting older, of course, but I think they definitely more appreciative since COVID that festivals seem to be doing well. Tickets seem to be selling well. A lot of club shows are selling out. You know, so yeah, I think it's a bit different than the US. You know. I think the US is struggling on the live scene and has been for some years, you know, especially with those 80s bands, you know. Yep. But I mean, a lot of those 80s bands kept coming over here. I mean, the likes of Jizzy Pearl is touring over here. I see it already, you know. All those bands that couldn't probably get arrested in America come over here. Pretty Boy Floyd, you know. They tour over here all the time. So. Which is fantastic. You go where your audience is. Absolutely fantastic.
Great, we can never get Manowar back over here.
Yeah, well, no, one of the bands I've never seen Manowar, but yeah, it's you know, it's great that they are all still around, and I think more of those like Winger are coming over here in May, so Skid Row have been over here touring, so you know, it's great to see all those bands. Maybe we're a little blessed because we were always very jealous of America. So they seem to get all the great tours and all the bands. But now we seem to get a bit of it. Not for the glory days, but a bit of it is great.
Before Preston, before I let you ask another question, before I forget, and old minds start to forget things, I'll just talk about rock is dead. I mean, you just talked about Skid Row, Winger, all these bands like that. Do you think rock is dead? I mean,
I think you need to understand statement and where the statement comes from, and it's difficult to argue with Mr. Simmons in regards to his perception of rock is dead. I think what he means, I think he's trying to be kind in a way by saying that without support, without music industry, without the financial investment into rock music, then it's not going to go anywhere, Right. And he's right in that regard. I mean, when you say obviously he loves the headline, and that's a headline, isn't it? Yeah. Rock isn't dead. It survives in the underground of people like you and I, keeping it alive, But with regards to future bands, there's a lot of bands in the UK. They're playing in front of thousands of people, but no one will sign them. There's very little music support here with regards to rock. There's radio stations don't play it. You don't see it on the television. You just don't see it anywhere, apart from in the clubs. And I think that statement has been born out of the lack of support for rock music in general. So he is right, but you got to understand, I think, where that perception or where that statement comes from, really.
My daughter, she's 19, well, about to turn 19. I was explaining to her, she's big time retro. She listens to all the stuff I do. Awesome. And I was explaining to her the other day about, back in the day, the albums, cassettes, and CD sales, that was what the artist went by. Now they had to go by what they make off a tour. And that's why all these guys are out there touring. I mean, it's not any money out there and to put out a record. Yeah. Not like it used to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can record a record, and Jay will always champion this. You can record it. Great. You can do it in a studio for a couple of, very little money. But without that financial support, especially these days with the media outlets, Facebook, Google ads, and all those kind of stuff, without that support to get people to listen to it or get it in front of people, you can make the best record in the world and no one's going to hear it. So, you need to be a bit clever with the budget that you have. I think we try and do that, maximize the little that we have to get us a foothold and get in front of people. I mean, when we play these festivals, we could deliver the goods. You put us in front of a crowd and people will remember us, and they'll be singing the songs at the end of that show, and they'll think, wow, I never realized the songs that they had, or this band was, I wouldn't say good, because that's up to the ear of the listener, but they'll enjoy it, and I think you put us in front of a crowd, we could deliver the goods. We'll come away with smiling faces. So it's just having that opportunity to get in front of people, and everyone's fighting for that at every level. Whether you're Europe, Whitesnake, or whatever it is, everybody's fighting to get in front of as many people as they can. We're lucky because we have a core audience, core fan base that gives us opportunities by supporting us, buying T-shirts. Those things make a huge difference to every band. People who buy T-shirts, buy the self-finance CDs, and all those things. But we don't cut corners. If you look at that T-shirt, Preston, you'll see there's multicolors in it. We don't release just black and white T-shirts for $25. We will give quality every time. Because
it's got a graphic on the back too.
Absolutely, we are about quality, and we want people to think that we're not cheapskates. You look at the Blast CD. How much did it cost to create that cover?
It's multi. It folds over itself when you open it.
That's because you open up Berserk and you think, wow, it's like opening up a Kiss Alive 2. You're like, wow, this is a band I want to be. This is a band, and this is a point that I would make as well. There are no rock stars now. There's no people are in bands, they perform in bands, and you walk down the street and no one will know who you are. And maybe people want that, but you know, when I was a kid, I looked up to the posters on my wall. This is what a band should look like, you know. And TigerTailz has always tried to retain that. You know, you gotta look like a band, you know. So
now, have you guys at TigerTailz over their career put out almost I count 9 full-length studio albums.
Okay.
I know you came in a little ways into it. If you could have been there for, or the ones that you've already been a part of, which one did you enjoy most being a part of, or would you have enjoyed most being a part of, given you've played all the songs, you know, live?
Okay, yes, that's a great question, by the way. Something I've never thought of or considered. I think, I mean, out of the albums that I've done, I think the most enjoyable to make was probably Blast, really, because we have our own studio set up. It's the song, you know, I push myself regards to playing wise to do as best I can be. I felt comfortable about the studio. A lot of when you, I mean, I've played with different people over the years, and the thing that brings out the best performance in me is to be comfortable, to be confident in what I'm doing. And Blast, I felt that way about recording that album. I mean, other albums are memorable for different reasons. Obviously, doing Thrill Pistol with Pepsi was the last recording that he did, and that was a real challenge to get him in and out of hospital to finish the album. And again, that was my first studio record. Well, first full-length studio record with the band. I did a few bits and bobs on Berserk 2.0, but so that was my first experience. Not a great way to start, really, but we got through it, and we made a great record. But I mean, I suppose your question is would I have wanted to be involved with Berserk originally? So I was 19 then when they recorded that album in '89. The beginning of '89, I think they started doing it. That's a real difficult thing to answer, because if I say yes and I was involved with it, would that have meant that I wasn't involved when they reformed and we had all those fantastic experiences later on? Right. So, you know, it's it would be interesting to hear what I could have done with the songs, I think, because it's such an iconic record. Would I have liked to have been there from the beginning? I'm a little bit younger than the band were, you know, so I mean, it's 4 or 5 years difference with myself. And when you're 19, 20, 4 or 5 years can make a big difference in your approach and your maturity. I probably wasn't ready as a player then. I probably would have been okay. I would have done it and pulled it off, but you know, I'm glad the part I played in the albums I made. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I told Steve when, you know, he said that you were getting these guys, I said if you're going to listen to any one album, for me it was Berserk. That was just,
sure. There's
not a single song that I want to skip at all, and it's just a masterpiece of metal for me. And I enjoy everything that TigerTailz has put out, because there's something about you guys, and I admit that I did not, when I was originally a fan of metal in the 80s, I didn't know TigerTailz. I knew of the name, but never listened to it. We didn't have the internet, you know, anything then. Right. Yeah. And then this resurgence of metal that has happened over on your side of the pond. I've been very involved in listening to a lot of the bands over there. And I discovered you guys probably about 6 years ago, and something about the sound of TigerTailz, no matter who the singer was, what the lineup was, there's something that always vibed with me. And it was just, I don't know. I can't even explain it. It just, you can hear that you guys enjoy what you're doing, and you're having fun doing it. And it really comes across in the music.
Well, that's the greatest compliment that anyone could ever pay to the band, really. But you're absolutely right. And it comes down to quality. The band, you know, has high standards. Jay Pepper has high standards within the band and high standards of all of us. And that can be sometimes why, you know, the band needs to change members, you know. But I think we are very proud I'm very proud of everything we've done. Absolutely. There's not a single song I would say, oh God, that's dear. But no, everything absolutely fantastic. And Preston, that's awesome. I appreciate you telling me that.
All right. You can tell I'm a huge Kiss fan. I have been since I was like 5.
Yeah, who isn't?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If you're not, you should be.
You are. Absolutely.
Yeah, you see it playing in the background too.
Yeah.
The Kiss cruise that you guys went on in 2014. First of all, how did it come about? And then what was it like on that Kiss cruise?
Well, we played with Kiss before then. We did Cubita Sonic Festival in Spain. I think, well, when was that? God. 2009, 2010, maybe.
Okay.
So we did that. We did a massive festival in Spain with Kiss. Now, we met with them and spoke with them. And I'll tell you a funny story, actually. We were at that festival, and Chris Sangarides, who produced Berserk, he's produced albums by major bands. He did Judas Priest, Painkiller, Thin Lizzy albums, Gary Moore albums. He's a major he was a major producer in the rock music scene in the UK, well, worldwide, really. So we were backstage at that show, and Eric Singer was they had like a program for the show, and there was a picture in there of I don't know if you guys can remember it from the magazine Kerrang. Pepsi Tate and a girl called Lisa Dominique advertising the Kerrang t-shirts. They were, and this appeared in Kerrang for months and months and months. Anyway, this picture was in this, for some reason, was in this booklet for this festival. And Eric Singer picked it up, and he's looking through it, and he comes over to us, and he says to Kim Hooker, "I've met you before. I've met you guys." And Kim Hooker says, "No, you haven't." So Eric Singer is trying to convince Kim Hooker that they've met previously. So I'm listening to this conversation. I'm thinking, well, how would they have met? And he's saying, "Yeah, we've met before. We've had a conversation before." Anyway, Kim Hooker was adamant that they'd never met, and he is a massive Kiss fan. Okay. So anyway, he said, we were talking about it after, and we were saying, what did Eric say to you, And he said, well, he was adamant that we'd met, and I've never met him. I'm sure I would remember meeting Eric Singer. And Jay Pepper pipes up. He said, well, you have met him, because he was in Gary Moore's band, right, when we were at Chris Sangarides' son's christening, and they were there, and he was there. So you just made a complete fool of yourself by saying you couldn't remember. But so I suppose you always associate Eric Singer with Kiss. Of course, you got to remember he played with a multitude of bands.
Black Sabbath, Lita Ford. Yeah, he's been in a bunch of bands.
Yeah. So so we played with Kiss at Cubita Sonic. Now their bodyguard, is Francis. His first name escapes me, but he wrote a book, and our manager Mikey.
What's his name?
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, so he wrote a book, and because he was a bodyguard for Cher, Kiss, and Bon Jovi. You read the book, read it, it's great. So, but our manager. Are you okay there, Preston?
Yeah, man.
Our manager recognized him, and he said, "Oh, I read your book, fantastic." So from that point, he took us under his wing. He said, "Come on, whatever you guys want, come with me." So he took us literally in the inner sanctum, the Kiss inner sanctum. We saw the Superman curtain. We were there. We dealt with all of them.
Wow!
He actually led us. He said, "Where do you want to watch the band?" So he gave us loads of pics, plectrums, and everything. He said, "Where do you want to watch the band?" So we said, "Well, where can we watch the band?" He said, "Well, what about the tower? Paul Stanley goes across the zip line into the tower."
Yeah.
So we were like, "Really? We could go up there?" And he said, "Yeah, come on." So we walked around the stage, up the middle where they separate the crowd, up the middle, just before they came on, up to the tower, and the video crew and the zipline crew were in there, and they were like, "Wow, no one's ever allowed in here. No one ever comes in here." And he said they had fridges with riders and beer and everything. So they said, "We never touch it. So go help yourself." So we had all this stuff, and it was because of Mr. Francis or Francis something, I can't remember his name.
Was it Danny Francis?
No, not Danny Francis. Michael Francis. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Lovely guy. Strangely, I met him after on the cruise and different things, but I never really got to have a decent word with him. But he really looked after us for that show. But we also played with Ace Frehley in the UK. We did a tour. We did an Ace Frehley tour in the UK years after that. So our connection with Kiss has been quite fortunate, really, because they're my favorite band of all time. So we've been very, very lucky. Yeah,
definitely here. But I've been since I saw the cover of Destroyer the first time. My older cousin had it and just put it in front of my face, and then I was like, this. And then when I heard Detroit Rock City, the opening and everything, as a 5-year-old, I was hooked.
Wow.
Ever since.
Yeah, wow. But sorry, I forgot the other part of your question. How do we get on the Kiss cruise?
Right.
We were invited onto that because there's like a public vote thing, and we were somehow added to that vote, and we were by far the most requested band. So
oh wow.
We were approached to do it, and of course it was just a phenomenal experience. Again, to be with the band and to hang out with them and to sort of see them. But we did they do a sail away show, and we had to pick 2 Kiss songs to do, and of course everyone was like, yeah, we need to do Detroit Strutter. I said, no, we don't want to do those. Everyone will want to do those. Well, we did I from The Elder.
Yeah,
and
I've watched that.
Which is on YouTube. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
because I did it in the Eric. I dressed up as Eric and did it as Eric. My little homage.
I got to watch that.
Yeah, it's there. And we did. I think it was Flaming Youth was the other song we did.
Deep cuts. That's what I like. Deep cut.
So, actually, no, I'm lying to you. I've lied to you there. Apologies, take it back. We did 1,000,000 to 1 was the other song.
Oh, very good.
Wow.
I have not seen that one yet.
One of my favorite songs, 1,000,000 to 1. It's actually no one. I've never seen a video of it, but we that was just fantastically awesome. I tried to sing it because I think I'm a bit of a singer as well in my dreams. So when that came out, and of course I always grew up singing that song, one of my favorite Kiss songs. So yeah, Kiss Cruise was just a phenomenal experience. I've been on the cruise myself since then. It's just great to be with family there. I got friends in Norway and Europe that we all meet up, so yeah, brilliant.
So before we go to another question, Preston, I've got to ask him this, since he's a diehard Kiss fan like we are.
Cool.
And this could change by the week for me. What is your favorite Kiss song of all time?
Oh wow, that's such a difficult question. It's like asking for your favorite child, isn't it?
Yep.
Definitely. It's tough to pick. I've got one that I've stuck with for a while.
Tell me yours. I'll tell you mine.
Okay, mine is Black Diamond.
Okay, all right. Okay,
yeah.
So
especially the live version, the live one version.
Yeah. Okay. So my favorite album of all time is Paul Stanley's solo album, and I was fortunate enough to meet and play with Mike Japp, who co-wrote I think 4 of the tracks off that solo album.
Yeah.
So of course that was a dream come true to tell him that was my favorite album of all time. He was like, really? Why? But it was So that's my favorite album of all time, Paul Stanley's solo album. But favorite song, I don't know. I tend to go for the deep cuts. I mean, makeup era and non-makeup era probably. I love Dressed to Kill, the album, and I love Love Her All I Can and Ladies in Waiting, all that kind of stuff. That's my favorite Kiss album is Dressed to Kill, because it was the first Kiss album I bought. So it stuck with me. But it's a difficult one. I mean, I really like Keep Me Coming, off Creatures, and but like non-makeup years, it's got to be probably 1,000,000 to 1. It's my favorite song. King of the Mountain is great. I mean, Paul Stanley was on fire at that period.
Yes, he was.
He did some great songs.
King of the Mountain with that drum intro. Eric Carr on the drums. Oh my gosh. And I know a lot of people don't like King of the Mountain, but I love it just for that drum intro alone. I was hooked when I put the cassette in and heard that. I was hooked after that.
I'm telling you, from Creatures of the Night all the way up to Asylum, those albums were so underrated, just masterpiece albums for me. I love those.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Eric was such an underrated drummer. You know, he never got the credit.
I love
never
Eric.
Got the credit he was due. I mean, his finesse on his double kicks was just unmatched, really. Just absolutely amazing. But King of the Nighttime World, absolutely. Just the intro, you know, Creatures intro, especially the live intro. You do that, it's just fantastic. I played with their Kiss tribute band for many, many years, like 10 years.
Oh, really? What was the name of them?
Yeah, Dressed to Kill. Look it up on YouTube.
I'll look them up right now.
Anything with Eric Carr is me. So if you look at Dressed to Kill Glasgow, there's the full show on there. But yeah, have a look. I made my whole drum kit. You know, with the flashing logos on the front and the logo at the back. I made all of that. I did all that. So yeah, have a look at all that stuff. There's loads of Dressed to Kill.
Were you in it at the Robin in 2015?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's me.
Show.
Yeah.
That's the full show. Yeah, that's on your YouTube channel. Okay.
Yeah, there's loads of it on YouTube. But anything with Eric Carr is me. That was me. That was. So
okay. I'll check it out.
They're still going with. They have a Peter Criss. They had a Peter Criss before me and a Peter Criss after me. But I wanted to do Eric because Eric was my era. You know, he was my.
Yeah. Eric is like my second favorite, right behind Ace, and then it's funny because Ace is like the original member that I got number one. Then after that, it's Eric and Bruce.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
You know, then the rest of the originals. But now that we finished the Kiss portion of the show, Preston, you got another question for him?
Well, I'm not sure if this is something that you can want to talk about or whatever, but I've always read that there was differences between the band and Kim Hooker, and I was just wondering, if you can talk about what happened, and two, is there still any kind of bad blood or anything like that between everybody?
Okay, so Kim, I think with all members of TigerTailz that have sort of dropped their colors, dropped their flags, and decided to leave the ranks. I think every member of the band throughout the years has done some fantastic work with the band, and they were the right people to be in that band at that moment in time. And that includes everybody. You know, I think the band had its successes, and in some cases had its failures, maybe depending on the person that was in the band at the time. Sometimes, and I think sometimes people they're not all pushing in the right direction. People can make a band difficult to function rather than making a band functionable, so to be able to function, to do things. So I think with Kim Hooker, it reached the point where he just wasn't happy being in the band. It's as simple as that. And the band wasn't functioning as a unit with him in the band. So, there's been no contact with Kim. Whenever we change a member or whenever something happens, you always see these things on Facebook, or bring Kim Hooker back, or bring Stevie back, or bring whoever back. But and it's the same when you see Kiss posts about, bring Peter Criss back. We want to see Peter. Bring Ace back. But the truth of the matter is that the band is, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are at a level where the band functions better without those guys. It's as simple as that. And every band is the same. No band wants to change a member. No band wants to go through that. But I think the fact of the matter is that the band's been going so long, Kiss has been going so long, every band's been going so long, that it's inevitable that something will change. And it's the same, I don't have the same girlfriend I had 20 years ago, it's just, you know what I mean? You don't wear the same clothes, do you? You know what I mean? It's inevitable. The time move on, and people have different opinions about things. And I think we've been lucky with the lineup up until recently to keep it going, and it's been the right lineup. But again, we reached the cornerstone, a junction in life where things had to change. So that was the reason Kim was gone. We've lost Preston, I think.
Yeah, we lost him for a second. I'm sure he'll be. There he goes. He's back.
Okay.
All right, we lost you for a second. You there with us? You hear us?
I don't know if it's me or what. I can hear you, but it's breaking up.
You're back.
Okay. Yeah, you're.
So with regards to Kim, there's been no contact with him. I think Kim is he's happy to be out of the band. He did his own band for a while, but I think I always think of some people in bands. They're either drivers, so they sit in the driver's seat, or they're passengers. You know, and the ones that fall away are generally the passengers, aren't they? So you know, I've always seen myself as a driver, even though I don't control TigerTailz, but I'm in the front seat there, you know, chipping in and giving my worth. And I don't do things that are detrimental to the run of the band, I hope. So, but it's just people change. They reach that point where they don't want to go on. And I think Kim was one of those people, really.
All right. Speaking of new members, you guys just recently got a new singer. Just Ashley Edison.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about Ashley, and tell us a little bit about, you know, you just redid 6X. And let him take the lead vocals on that, just to show, I guess, to show that he's got the chops for it. Tell us a little bit about Ashley.
Okay, so Ashley comes from a completely different background and genre to the one that TigerTailz belongs to. So when we were looking for a singer, we were inundated by the people that I would have expected to want to be the singer in TigerTailz, strangely. So those people, and I think a lot of the fans or people who follow the band would have expected perhaps one or two of those people to be the next singer. You know, so we needed to be honest with ourselves. We needed to be honest with the band, and we needed the songs to be performed at the best they could be performed, you know. And a band, the focal point of a band is the vocals, isn't it? The vocal and the singer. So in the past, I think we've compromised with regards to certain things, and we didn't feel that we wanted to compromise this time. We wanted to get the best thing that we could. Someone who was a team player and who absolutely wanted to put all their weight and efforts behind making TigerTailz the best it can be. So Ashley was one of the people who reared their heads up. He contacted us. And we were a bit reluctant right up until the time when he sang, because when he sang, it was undeniable. The vocal was undeniable. You know, I mean, if I'm not kidding. I mean, if I just thought, well, you know, if Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or Queensryche wanted a singer to sing those songs in the right key, in the right way, there he is, right there. His name is Ashley. You know. So yeah, it was just undeniable. As soon as he got in the studio, you know, we were all laughing at just the magnitude of the voice that came out of the guy. It was world class, and it's something that we deserved. So we gave him a shot. He sang. I'll tell you a little story. One of the songs we gave Ashley was "Living Without You." Now, "Living Without You" was redone for Kim Hooker as a test of his vocal ability when Kim came into the band. We said to Jay said to Ashley, "This is one of the songs we want you to sing," but Ashley, he learned the wrong version of the song. He learned the Kim Hooker album version or EP version instead of the version that we do now. So the song starts with a keyboard intro, and it's a very every day. That's terrible vocal, but that's the kind of get the feel of it. So I actually sung it, and it was just incredible. I've got it on my phone. It's just like, wow, this guy has sung this song in the key that it's meant to be sung in, and it's just blown me away. So yeah, there was a mistake on his part to learn the wrong version, but it did himself no end of credit by doing it that way. So yeah, it was just phenomenal. So we wanted to try. Obviously, we were very fearful of Ashley's background coming into what the genre of the band that it is. On the other hand, we felt that the band needed to move forward and be more contemporary, I guess, not only in sound but in the way the band looked. So we did some photos, and Ashley came through, with spades. You absolutely, the band, the look of the band, we look like a band, going back to my point earlier, and he's done a fantastic job, and he's a great guy. He's very well connected within the music industry. He's managed to pull something, his enthusiasm to get things going, his pull some strings to get TigerTailz, some future things hopefully we can announce going forward. So yeah, he's a great team player, got fantastic experience, and not only that, his voice is just absolutely world class. So yeah.
Speaking of with the new singer, his range, he's able to do the vocabulary that TigerTailz has. Direction as TigerTailz heaviest and Blast as the two parameters, what direction do you feel like the band's next album, to one direction or the other, or will it be something completely different?
Well, it's a great question, Preston. I think we will all have different opinions on this because we all listen to different things, and we all kind of have our own feelings about how TigerTailz should be. But I think the reason, we did 6X with Ashley because not only is it a standout track from Berserk, it's kind of a benchmark song for the band, and it pins our colours to the door with regards to what we're about and what Ashley can do, and it sort of introduced him to an audience familiar with the band, familiar with the song. But even if you weren't familiar with the band or familiar with the song, it's a great song, and he's done a fantastic job of it. So moving forward from that, personally, I would like everything that we do, and we will do, will be a quality product. I think Jay has already got some recordings done. It's been a while since we did Blast, so being a creative type that Jay is, he's always going to be, thinking of songs and recording songs, demoing, making demos of things. So I think we've got enough there, if not nearly enough, to sort of do an album of quality material. What that sounds like, I couldn't tell you because I've not heard any of it. So that's my truth. I would hope, personally, I like the heavier stuff. I think the Wasbones period stuff is where we would sit better now, contemporary wise. So I think Dirty Needles, which is my favorite track to play live, and I think from my perspective and my perception is Ashley's voice and the band would suit that material better than maybe Young and Crazy stuff. That's not to say we won't play anything from Young and Crazy. We always will. And it's always difficult because you're very constrained with the performance time that you have to get as much crammed in there. Because lately, the recent albums, there's some fantastic stuff. Punch in the Guts, One Life. There's some great songs.
Shoe Collector, I like that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great material that we would love to play, and we have the opportunity to play it because we're able to perform at that level now, to do it justice. But personally, I'd like it to take a heavier slant, but we'll see on that one. We'll see. Whatever it'll be and however it'll sound, it'll always be quality. I
agree with that.
Yeah, you look at like Bloodsuckers off Blast.
Very good song.
Or Just for One Night. They're great tunes. Would they sit on Berserk? Probably not, but probably a bit heavier. But it doesn't matter. I think as long as we do a quality tune and release it as best we can, package it as best we can, and it'll get there. It'll be the right thing to do.
That you took one of my questions there was going to be what your favorite song to play live. You just answered that. So
Needles, Dirty Needles. Yeah, absolutely fantastic track to play live. The intro was just you can see people's hair blowing back when we start playing it. It's like a hurricane that just slapped them in the face. So yeah, it just kills, just floors people. I've had people come up to me and say, even very successful musicians and saying that song, Needles, who did that originally? You know, and it's like, well, it's our song. And he's like, really? You wrote that song? You know, yeah, we did. Thank you.
Anything you got, Preston?
The only other last thing I would have would be just out of curiosity, because, you know, obviously with my location, the difficulty of me being able to see you guys live other than watching it on the internet. What would a typical set, song for song, be like that you guys perform on a regular basis? Just me knowing all the songs, I just kind of wanted to hear what a set would be.
Okay, well, we did. I did find an old set list. I can't see it on my phone, but so what would we do? I mean, we've got this gig in the Underworld in June, and it would be. I mean, we're playing all of Berserk back to back, not necessarily in that order, but it'll be every song off it, with a few classics thrown in there, "Living Without You" and a few off the first album. So, I mean, when we move away from that and we play a full set, ourselves, it'll be mostly Berserk, because a band will play the most requested and biggest selling songs. So Berserk being the biggest selling album of TigerTailz, it'll be, the set will be will be made of most of those songs off that album. We just try and play. I mean, I always say, let's just play the best songs. You know, let's just play our best songs. And this is always an argument, because sometimes, or a discussion, I should say, because, you know, I think maybe there's some songs that are better than some songs from Berserk. You know, so, you know, shouldn't we play those songs? You know, instead of the stuff from Berserk. Even though Berserk was the biggest selling album, it doesn't necessarily mean that. You know, for sake of argument, Dirty Needles is not as good as Twist and Shake. You know, so it's a difficult one. It's really difficult. But yeah, I mean, Six Sacks, the opener, generally will be right down to Love Bomb Baby, Living Without You, and then we'll throw in a few, you know, off Wildbone, maybe Dirty Needles. But it's strange looking at the Spotify listings and charts for the most popular songs. There's some songs in there from Berserk 2.0, like "Do It Up," and you know, Berserk 2.0 is it's probably my favorite, actually, TigerTailz record. There's so many great songs on it. For Hate's Sake is one of my favorite TigerTailz songs. "Do It Up," you know, is on that list. Second song. So who knows? We may decide to bring a few of those out. You know, so. It's like Kiss, isn't it? You've got such a vast back catalogue. Yeah. Everybody's saying, "Oh, play Almost Human," you know. And you're like, well, you know,
Almost Human.
If you play that song, no one will know it, you know. I mean, you know, I'll know it, you'll know it.
The diehards will know it, but the majority of who's there will know it. The diehards will know it, but
the 5% of us will be out there like, "Holy shit!" Oh my God, he's playing All American Man. Yes.
Bring it on.
Yep.
Love it. So, and that was funny about playing with Ace, because you get to hear like Rocket Ride and all those songs. It's like, wow, lovely songs, you know, Hard Times, the favorite song ever, you know. So, yeah, you know, so it's very difficult, as you can imagine, all those songs to choose, to play, to make people happy and choose the right songs. It's a minefield. You can never please everybody. So there we go.
No.
Okay, so we're not going to take up too much more of your time, Mr. Blakout, but
that's okay. It's been a pleasure.
Just going to mention where you guys can be reached online. Of course, you got your Twitter and your Facebook, and then you've got your own website at TigerTailz with a Z. .co.uk, and that's got all the up. I'm looking at it right now. That would tell you everything you want to know about what's going on with TigerTailz. Anywhere else they can find out anything about you guys?
Yeah, so the website, we've recorded video, filmed some content that will be released on the website in the next month or so, I guess. So it's great footage, very candid with the band. So we've done a couple of interviews. So, you know, for people to try and get them to reintroduce the band and introduce Ashley to the band. So look out for that on TigerTailz.co.uk. Facebook page, yeah. So we got the show in June at the Underworld in London coming up. Maybe we can get it videoed for a live stream, something like that. So maybe we can get some interaction with people who unfortunately can't be there in the venue. So yeah, it's a great thing to do if we can. Yeah. So. Got to wear your Peacemaker t-shirt though. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So all those things to be considered. There's lots of things coming up. The band is reborn, re-energized, and reinvigorated. So hopefully we can stay in touch, come on again, have another chat, and see where we go.
Yeah. Before we go, I think I've found. Maybe this is what you were talking about here. I'm gonna share it with you. That the picture you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So this was in Kerrang for a long time.
Check
and,
that big hair out there, boy.
Yes, sir.
That is 80s rock right there.
Yeah, it is. Iconic. Absolutely iconic. I wonder if they ever slept together. I wonder if they ever got into it. I don't know. But
yeah.
She's long gone.
If I'm guessing, I would probably say yeah.
Yeah.
This is a family program. What are you doing?
Knowing the boy, I think you're right. Yeah.
So, Mr. Blakout, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today. Preston, hang around for a few seconds, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more. But thank you so much, guys. That is Matthew Blakout from TigerTailz.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. I'm on Facebook, so you can join me personally on Facebook and check me out and my stuff. But yeah, thanks again for having me, guys. Keep up the the good work regards to TigerTailz. We're honored for you guys to have us on, and great to speak to you. And hopefully we'll come back and we'll have an update.
Thank you, sir.
At some point.
Thank you, sir.
Kiss rule.
Yes. Hey, hold on one.